All right. Well, episode 20, Dan. Episode 20.
The big 2-0.
One more year in this, or one more episode in this podcast to be able to drink. It's crazy. We're 20 episodes into this. I know there's some wrestling episodes that are like 550-ish something, but 20 is.
Listen, they all had to start somewhere. They all had
Yeah,
to get to 20
yeah,
also.
yeah, 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 yeah. We're just finishing our own story, right? Some would say.
We're only on chapter 3.
Yeah, first inning, right? That's what was said. This is only
Third
third
inning.
inning. Yeah.
Third inning. That's right. We're
So
only in the third inning.
yeah, we're only in the third inning, so this is just getting going. But with
A
how
year from now, we'll be in the sixth inning, basically.
yeah, 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 that's how it goes, right? Until
Yeah.
some hotshot wants to take over the company and throw himself in. Um, so it's been a pretty slow week in wrestling compared to what we had the past 2 weeks. Would you say?
Yeah.
I mean, besides what's happened on a couple of the shows, I mean, then again, we're not going to have a press conference every week, right? So that's kind of, it would be cool. I don't know what they would talk about every week in a press conference, but
I, yeah. Just yell at each other and
yeah,
slap people across
yeah,
the face.
yeah, and say you talk about my family, I talk about yours. Yeah, that type of degenerate behavior, and not with an X to it. Um, so yeah, I mean, we could. Would you like to talk about that Spot Fest promotion that you watch on Wednesdays and Saturdays first, or would you talk about the real sports entertainers at this time? I'll let
I
you
mean,
pick.
well, okay, sports entertainers, listen to you.
I'm just saying, hey, hey, company
WWE
guy,
through and through.
company guy,
Company guy for sure.
company guy.
I actually haven't watched it
I
in a
know.
while,
So yeah,
so
that's what I. So we could start with that then, and finish up with the true sports entertainment. I don't feel like I feel like those that we know that still continue to tune in to watch wrestling when they have time, and like a lot of the posts that are on Reddit and whatnot. Now I know March 3rd is supposed to be a pretty strong card for AEW, and they're expecting a big entrance from somebody that may or may not have signed. Um, do you think this hurts their buzz on going into that pay per view? Like, it doesn't feel as strong as it did last year at this time, right? Like, it doesn't feel the same. I would say.
no. But the quote unquote surprise got spoiled before they even announced it. This is different than the um, you know, first dance, last dance, whatever they called it with CM Punk, right? Like
Yeah,
they hinted the story was kind of out there, then they started hinting, then it became obvious, but there was just anticipation and momentum with it. In this case, with Big Business, right? Isn't that what it's called? Big Business?
Well, the pay per view on March 3rd is right now being called.
The pay per view.
Yeah,
Yeah,
AE.
Revolution.
Yes, correct. From Greensboro. But yes, there is the big business show as
I
well.
thought you were. Yeah, sorry. I thought you were talking about
No,
Big
yeah.
Business because
So
that's the big surprise.
yeah,
What's the surprise for Revolution? See, I'm really out of the loop here on this one.
uh,
Because
so
if it's Mercedes, that's not coming till Boston.
no, that's not coming to Boston. But so everything that's being rumored about is you can see a change at the big title, and I really don't think that's a big surprise. But
Oh, yeah, okay,
you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the only way that I could see that as a surprise is if they actually put it on Swerve.
I don't even think that's a surprise. I feel like they've been building for that.
Well, I think Swerve deserves the title. I don't think they're gonna take it off of Joe and put it on Swerve.
Well, it's a triple threat though, so they can do it that way, right? And then
Yeah, and
they
then
can
it
have them
doesn't look bad on Joe, right?
right. They can have them pinning Paige, you know, after Joe gets knocked out somewhere, and then boom, you know. I mean, I just don't think it'd be a surprise if Swerve wins either. Like, um,
Yeah, so we could talk about Revolution first because that's 10 days before big business. So right now, that's set up to be Sting's last show. That's the Tornado Tag match between Darby and Sting versus the Young Bucks. Are excited at all?
Matthew and Nicholas Jackson now.
Okay, so the Bucks.
No, they don't go by that name anymore.
Okay, then I get to call. I get to call Mr. Copeland by his real sports entertainment name then from now on, if that's what we're doing.
They go by their government names.
Sure, then you shouldn't have the announcers say the Bucks a couple times if that's true.
I don't think they do anymore.
I
I really don't.
when they had the bloodstain on them, when I was seeing the clip from the bloodstain, you heard the Bucks in the background, so it's kind of like from an announcer. So it's kind of like, well, somebody slipped up if that's not what they're really doing here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this will never happen in an Endeavor-based company, Dan. Never happens.
But either
Never
way,
happens.
Either way, I know that they've been doing that as a storyline. That you know, because like Renee called them in a backstage segment. Renee called them the Young Bucks, and they, you know, were like, "Don't make us suspend you. Call us by our government names. We're no longer that name."
Yeah. So
Matthew and Nicholas. They're Matthew and Nicholas Jackson.
So
EVPs.
I don't want to talk about them any more than I have to, but how do you feel about this whole storyline? It's just built off of the whole thing with CM Punk. Like, I don't even feel like they did it the right way. Like, I don't even feel like this is the right like angle for them to take if that's the true basis of this storyline. I don't like.
My guess is that they're. I mean, I don't like it, but part of the reason I think that it's bad is that they're trying to do it, but they're tiptoeing on a line based on this alleged NDA that all these parties have. So they really can't get into any specifics, and you know, probably they can't mention his name in a disparaging way, so they can only allude to it.
So why even touch it at that point?
Right.
Like,
that's
why
it's kind of like the mistake. The mistake is doing it when you can't do it full force.
Right.
It might work if you could do it full force.
Right, agreed.
You can't.
No, so why even?
Yeah.
Like, and it just kind of like you could just go out there as the Bucks, and that would bring something like extra to this being Sting's last time out there. Like just the fact that it's the Bucks, and not the fact now they're going by AEW EVPs. So I mean, as we know from our prior episodes, Darby and Sting took the AEW tag titles. Sting had his family in the ring, basically. That's the first time ever, I think, that I can remember that Sting has shown that side of him. That's shown, like, that he's a family man like that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, unless he did it in his Surfer Sting days.
I don't remember, yeah. So then he got attacked by, do you know who? I'm not even going to be saying this all the time. And they beat him up pretty bad. He got bloody. And then they did their stupid Power Ranger pose at the top of the, not a ramp, but it's a walkway type thing that Tony puts in there. Just call it a ramp. It pisses me off. That's what it is. But, and don't shake your head at me.
It's such a minimal thing to care about.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, that's not the real champion. But anyways.
That's not what I said.
Okay, whoa. Save that for a different episode, bud.
If you're gonna critique me properly, you jerk.
And then the following episode, Darby does that. Did you see the promo that Darby cut?
Yeah. I saw the clip of it, yeah.
So how do you feel about that? Do you feel like he did anything wrong by mentioning Cody's name? Because there's a lot of people that thought that was the opportunity for Darby to say it only took Tony being the one to believe in me and not saying it was Cody. Because then the arena was kind of overtaken by Cody chains. Does it? I I don't see an
They're,
issue with it.
they're not an issue to me either.
No, I don't see how it causes an issue either. I don't.
They don't have a negative relationship with Cody that we're
No.
aware of, and Cody has no problem not in the ring, obviously, but well, he has alluded to AEW in the ring too. But
Yeah.
in press conferences, he has no issue with being complimentary of them.
Well, and he said at least half a dozen times in a promo, everybody thought it was stupid that me and my friends want to start a
Right.
wrestling company. So everybody knows who that is. Like, let's not pretend the internet does not exist at
Well,
all here, people.
remember that
Like,
time too, like right after his return when he mentioned Matt and they thought he meant Matt Cardona, but then it
yeah,
was like they think he meant Matt Jackson.
yeah,
So
yeah. So it's kind of like I don't know what the big deal is. I think people just wanted Darby to give Tony a rub, but I don't think it would have helped Tony at all just because he can't behave on Twitter. Like that's like
right.
so. Um, I didn't have a problem with the promo. I thought it was cool. He gave a shout out to Cody. I know Cody would do something back if he could. Obviously, does Sting retire part of the tag team champs?
No,
I don't
they
think
lose
so.
it.
Yeah, I
They
think so
lose it.
too. And does
Sting is, I think, my guess is that Sting has been doing this long enough and he's old school enough that, similar to Rick Flair, you retire on a loss.
right?
That's
Well,
the point.
and
You don't. Well, I mean, one of Rick's retirements, but I
come on,
mean, like,
come on.
it's true.
He got to pay
Um,
child support.
and his last, I mean, in his last match that they did, he went over too. But like, you retire on a loss, and typically you retire on a loss that helps somebody. Now that isn't the case here, but I think he's just, the story is, our favorite wrestling journalist did have the story that Sting picked them. So, he has enough respect for them to pick them. And I think he goes out on a loss. Like, that's how you retire. You don't have to win, because what's going to happen? They lose, most likely. They lose, something happens to lead to getting the Bucks out of there, whether it's, Darby recovers and beats them up a little, they run to the back with the belts, and then Sting gets his moment with the crowd and all the thank you Sting chants and the standing ovation, and nothing's wrong with that,
No.
right? Like, like,
Well,
and they, like, I guess if they let Sting win and then he just vacates the title, which,
well, and well, let's not forget when Sting won the titles a week or two ago. There was an article that came out shortly after that. Sting didn't even want the tag titles.
you know,
So it seems like
no,
what he wanted for his type of last ride, no pun intended, that they're not even following through on that for him, which is kind of crappy. But what's your interest in that? Do you have any interest in that besides it being Sting's last time?
that's the only reason. And I like Darby
Agreed.
Allin too. So
Yeah, no, I get it.
that's the only interest in this. To be honest, like, looking at this card as it stands today, I don't have a ton of interest outside of that match because it stings. I like watching Orange Cassidy, but I don't know if him and Roderick Strong will be a good match or not.
I don't think Roderick's the right guy for that. I
Right.
just
So I don't know how I feel about that, but I do like watching Orange Cassidy. To be honest, I'm not all that interested in the three-way for the championship. Like, I don't know. You've just seen this so many times with
yeah.
Swerve and Page, so like, getting a little tired of that. I would be happy if Swerve won. The women's match I have no interest in with
The
Tony
same.
Storm and
The
Deonna
same.
Purrazzo.
Same.
Kingston and Danielson fine, but
So
yeah, I feel I feel like I like Eddie a lot, but like I don't know. I feel like we've probably seen iterations of this match
yeah,
a
it's just
thousand
gonna be
times.
stiff, right? Just as stiff as it could possibly be. That's what it's gonna be.
It's gonna
Kicks to the
be.
head,
I mean,
chops.
you want to talk about betting in wrestling? The over under prop bet should be. I don't even know what the number would be, but chest chops, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's the over under on chest chops? Because there'll be probably 50 of them.
Well,
The over
and
under is 51 and a half.
and when Daniel Bryan gets down like on the ring itself, he always likes to pick up that boot and just
Right.
gives somebody like side
Oh,
stomps
kick
to,
him to the face.
which
Yeah.
which is my biggest pet peeve with him because he sits there and takes the return of it, and it's like, dude, your brain is a scrambled egg as is. Like, this isn't even
Right.
wrestling at this point. This isn't even telling a story. This is just let's see how stiff it can be. Which I get. They both love Japan type pro wrestling. But you're not there. Like, you're not in the Tokyo Dome. I think this is the first time in a while that I have no interest in the Osprey match.
I don't
I have
with
done.
Takeshita.
None at all. None at all. I have none. And it's weird because
I
I'll usually
I
find a
think
way to watch him no matter what. Now, I don't care. Like, I just,
for some reason I think with a different opponent it could be more
yes.
intriguing.
Yeah, they could do Kenny for the 12th time. Um,
If he's ready.
he's not going to be ready for a while, man. If it's true how
Right.
bad that really is.
No,
Um,
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah. So I mean, out of five, what's your interest in this pay per view? Would you pay for this pay per view?
no.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't. Sting's match doesn't mean that much to me, which is kind of tough to say, but
I would say it.
that's
Yeah, yeah,
that's the problem for AEW right now, or for me with AEW
yeah. It's just
is
it's soft storylines, right? Like,
it's just not enough. It's just not enough.
yeah. I would say
I'm
probably about
sure
it.
they'll add a couple more matches, but well, maybe not. Maybe they'll
No,
just
there's
highlight.
6 right there.
Yeah, I
You
wouldn't be
you
surprised
got
if
to
they
think they're
kept it.
gonna give. You got to think they're gonna give Osprey at least an hour,
I don't
45
think.
to an hour.
I
You
don't
don't
think
think
so.
so?
No.
What? So if this was the card that's set in stone, what would be the longest one that's on here?
They'll probably put the three-way. I don't think any of these matches go an hour. I think that's a long time for them. Um, I mean, it could go 30 minutes. My guess. The three-way might go a little longer, just because I'm sure there's going to be some periods of downtime in that match,
Yeah.
and then and the tag match, Sting's last match. I think they give a good 25-30 minutes to. I bet.
Yeah.
They gotta, because they gotta manage that. They're not gonna do a quick match, because it's his last match, and they're gonna manage that a little bit so he can do a little bit more. And he likes to set up for big spots. My guess is he's gonna set up for several big spots. So that's going to stretch out the timeline because they're not going to do three big spots in a row. It's going to be big spot, 5-6 minutes, big spot, 5-6 minute, right? Like, so before you know it, you're at 18, and then I don't know what the finish is, right? But I would say you get 25-30 minutes in that match.
Yeah, I would
Plus,
say
you just know Ric Flair is going to be involved somehow, so
yeah. I don't
maybe
know.
Flair turns on Sting.
Well, that's what I was thinking. You
Oh my
know,
god! And
because
then
it's
Sting doesn't actually retire, and then we get a true retirement match between Sting and Rick.
and then here comes Goldberg.
Oh my god! No, here comes Bret Hart just to referee it.
And then here comes Goldberg. Yeah, I would say by interest is probably 2.5, 3 out of 5, just because of this Sting match.
My
I,
initial gut was 2.5. I was going to say 3 and not do a half, but my initial gut was
I think
2.5.
Swerve can outshine Joe and Paige. My only critique about that is just how many times are we gonna have to see Paige involved with Swerve? Like, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
it's got to end. It's been going
Yeah,
on forever.
yeah. So
It's like
should be
Jesus
a
Christ, finish this story for fuck's
yeah.
sakes.
Hey, that's copywritten now, bud. So yeah, I mean, so that's on March 3rd, 2024, in Greensboro Coliseum in North Carolina. And then, as Daniel brought up, AEW Big Business, March 13th, 2024, TD Garden, the worst place on earth,
Whoa, hey,
Boston,
whoa,
Massachusetts.
whoa, hey.
I wonder what the surprise is going to be, Dan. They should have just named this AEW. Her name was Sasha Banks at that point. Like,
Bank statement. Should have
yeah,
been bank
or
statement.
Banks
Oh no,
Business.
they can't do bank statement, right? That was her finisher. I'm sure that was
Yeah,
trademark.
or Banks Business or something.
Yeah, big
Like,
bankers, big
yeah,
bankers.
yeah, or yeah. So that's the surprise, right? That's the big surprise for this.
I mean, that's our understanding for
That
sure.
that's kind of already been said without being said, I guess, right? Um, and correct me if I'm wrong, but did Okada sign? He signed, right?
I don't think that's been confirmed.
No, supposedly not. He's expected to sign. It says so.
Yeah,
That's an
last I knew, it was expected.
so. A lot of these wrestlers nowadays are worse than the pitchers that are not reporting the spring training baseball at this point. Because we haven't really heard anybody saying that Banks have signed for sure, right?
Sean Ross Sapp, I think,
Yes,
signed.
yeah, yeah,
I think he reported that she signed months ago.
yes, and that was debuting in March. Okay, so then Okada's been the only one that's they've kind of been back and forth on, right? Like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's visiting NXT now, or he's flying to talk to Tony. Like it's kind of like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Uh, yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Based on like, does that drive your interest any at all for that Boston show? If that's the big surprise.
No, not really, but I mean, I guess I would watch it just to see how they do it. But the problem is like
I don't think.
doing this. The problem for me, like I said, there's no real anticipation to this now.
Right.
The CM Punk thing was like it was like 99.9% like right, like you knew it, but then there was for whatever reason, it was just like it was almost like you couldn't believe it. Like you knew it, but you almost like could it is there a possibility this isn't true? And then like within a
Right.
week or two, like with a week or two to go, you knew it, right? But there was still a lot of like, and that I mean, I guess it's his return after all those years, but um with this it's like what are they going to do? They're going to do the show. They're going to call it big business. It's it's already out there, that's what the big deal is.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do? Are you going to open the show the same way you did in Chicago and you're just going to play some new music for her and she's going to come out? Great. Big effing deal.
Well, right.
Like
Who cares at that point? Like, I don't think this.
if they want to make this more intriguing, they start a storyline now with whoever.
Yes.
You know, maybe Brit, right? Like Brit's been bitching a lot like lately about, time and TV time and whatever and she's been throwing her stuff out. That's fine. Maybe Brit should start a I don't care who's coming, who's going to be in Boston? Like, this is my show. This is my, whatever you want to do. You don't have to use Brit, but maybe you do, right? And you
No,
start building some anticipation that there's going to be a showdown, or there's going to be some sort of run in, or there's going to be an attack, or it's not just going to be, hey, here's Mercedes Monet, who you knew was coming, but now she's here officially. Yay! Which is, whatever. It's not bad, but it's not great. Or you build something out of it to lead up to. So there's a little bit of anticipation of what's this going to look like when she comes out, you know?
yeah, no, you hit it right on the head. There's nothing in that I disagree about. I think it's bigger on paper that they were able to sign her than it is her actually being able to show up and go. I think it's bigger that they're keeping her away from WWE. But besides her adding an extra element of cosplay, I don't see what she brings. Because she's already better than everybody on that roster.
Yeah.
And it's not close. You know what I mean? It's not close. Like, go back and just watch Sasha and Bailey for when they put on that NXT pay-per-view. That's better than 70% of the male matches that we've seen at AEW. So it just adds an extra element of costume design. And it's kind of like when your divisional opponent signs a running back to keep that player away from signing with your team. That's basically what this kind of feels like at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I hope Tony has a plan, because the reports are what Sasha wanted for WWE. It was outrageous compared to what WWE was offering. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could do Sasha and Paige, but you really haven't seen Paige wrestling a lot, right? She's been more of pushing Ruby Riott. Like,
Right.
so maybe Sasha joins the Outsiders or whatever they're called, or I forget what that faction's called there with Paige. But
That faction even still exists?
well, it's the two of them. It's just not Tony anymore.
Yeah, what was the Outcasts, I think.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry,
I could
sorry,
be
Scott
wrong.
Hall. Sorry, Scott Hall. Like,
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
okay. Well, let's do it correctly, Dad. Not like you just had a stroke there, bud. I know you're of age, yeah, but you were like this, and it's just a whole different conversation for a
I
different
mean,
day.
that's kind of what Scott used to do.
Okay, dun da da. So,
Whoa!
uh,
Whoa, whoa. Mark this episode explicit.
um, I just, I don't know. I don't see how this helps. I really don't, because if because Sasha is used to the structure of the storylines, right? Like, she's already as much as Julia Hart has improved tremendously. She's 10 times better than Julia Hart. 10 times. Just walking in the door. Even with, what, 5 years off? Like, she's better than Tony Storm. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm scrolling through the roster right now, and it's like, I mean, Athena can probably put on a decent match with her, but it's going to be a weird storyline since that's Ring of Honor, and I don't expect you to see Sasha on Ring of Honor a lot, if at all. I mean, you could just have Sasha come in and do what Paige did and say, "This is my house now," and go from there, I guess. I don't know. I don't see anybody on this roster that's like Willow Nightingale, probably. But that would have to be a specifically scripted for her to keep up.
I mean, her and Sasha or her and Mercedes already had a couple of matches in New Japan.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. You could transfer that over. Oh,
Yeah.
Dan, and just to let you know, your favorite Britt Baker's career record is 66-39. She's 0-0 in 24.
Yikes.
So, yeah, I don't know. I maybe Chris Statlander. And Dan, I know you were wondering because your subscription charges you at the end of the month, but Paige Van Zandt is still on the roster. So, yeah, I mean, they still have Brody on here too, the Exalted one.
Such a jerk.
I am. Yeah. So, are you excited for any of this?
No.
No, I'm not either. Is there anybody that they could bring in now? That would be like, maybe I should tune in on Wednesday just to see what they're gonna do with that person.
They would have to take a decently big name from WWE for me to say what are they doing with that person. But right now,
McIntyre.
it's going. I mean, yeah, but only to the extent of I want to see what they do with them, and if it's not good right away, I'm tuning right back out. Right?
Yeah,
Because that was the same thing with Edge, right? The whole thing is I wanted to see what they were going to do with them, and what they were doing with him and Christian in particular.
Yeah, it was good.
And yeah, and then it has floundered since then. So like that's where I sit with that. So yeah, like McIntyre. I mean, any of the names that are coming up that are decently big names in WWE right now. Just out of curiosity, like, right? Like, and I'm just gonna throw names out there, like AJ, like, I don't know, I'm not worried about contract right now, but LA Knight, AJ Styles, like, even any of those guys, like Seth, right? Like, if any of them happen to jump, I'd want to see what they do with them. I don't see that happening.
So,
but
how long would that have you watching for? Would that have you watching for 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
if the story's good, I'll watch until the story's bad.
So, if it's bad the first week, you're done with it?
Well, I don't know that you'll know the story in the first week, like, because chances are the first time you see them is just going to be a very dumb. A world champion is debuting with AEW, and they come out like Ospreay, right? Like all they did was have him come out and sign a contract.
Right, but I mean, like, the first
week.
week that they're actually, like, involved. Like, not the whole, Tony has a big announcement.
So let's play that out. Let's just pick Seth, because that would be a big steal, right? Like,
yeah, that would be the biggest one of this time, yeah.
Yeah, so let's just say it's Seth to give it that shock value.
I think Seth would be bigger than Cody coming back to WWE.
Yes. So, play it out that it's Seth. We're past the debut, whatever that is, and now it's week 1, and he comes out, and let's say Moxley comes out. Probably keep watching that for a little bit, see what they do with that, right? That's, there's a lot of history there, so probably see, that's an Edge Christian type thing to me, right? Let's say Seth comes out and he gets interrupted and or attacked by Jungle Boy. Click, I'm done.
Yeah, agreed.
Right? Like, so it's all going to be, and this is kind of how it was with WCW and WWE way back when, before the Monday Night Wars. It was, for WCW, it was give me compelling story week after week. That's why I'm going to tune in. The minute you're not doing it, I'm out. And I'm back to old reliable, which is WWE.
Yeah, I think it would really depend on who it is. Like, McIntyre doesn't do it for me. LA Knight wouldn't do it for me. AJ Styles would, because I would like to see if AJ Styles brings Gallows and Anderson with him and gets somewhat of does the black and white Bullet Club versus the Gold Bullet or the Bang, whatever it is. That's stupid ass name. You know that pisses me off too. Um,
The Bang Bang Scissor
Scissor
Gang.
Click. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
The Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
Um,
Terrible pairing.
yeah, the worst. Um, just so you know, Britt Baker was with Sasha, Bailey, and Naomi at the Super Bowl. So,
And Britt Baker.
yeah, that's what I said. I
Oh,
said,
sorry. Yeah, I
yeah,
missed. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, because at the end of the day, and they're finally able to show it a little bit more, they're all freaking friends.
they're like best friends. Yeah, we're
Right? You know?
when does Britt's contract up?
I don't know, but she probably got extended a decent amount with a lot of her injury, too, right? Like,
So she supposedly signed a contract extension. What for a long time to come?
2021.
Yeah. So it would have to be based on whatever a long time to come means. I think we get Sasha and I think we get Britt back at WWE. Not that Britt's ever been, but I think we get Sasha back and I think Britt comes as well. And I think it's sooner than we actually think. I do. But yeah, that was just a tangent on my part. Apologies about that. But yeah, I guess AJ. I'm trying to write it down now as I think. I guess AJ would. Not McIntyre, not LA Knight. Seth definitely would. Roman would, but there's no way WWE would let Roman go. Mm. I'm trying to think who'd be an untouchable. Yeah, that's tough. I think it's only like 3 guys. I think it would have to be 3 guys for me to get them. Oh, and Randy, so 4. If for some other reason he just picks up and goes.
Yeah, that would be kind of crazy.
Yeah, right?
Well, that would be kind of crazy, right? Because he's
A WWE guy
that's
through and through.
right, like right.
He's
Like,
OVW.
that's like John Cena.
Cena, right.
Flipping, right?
Exactly.
You just don't expect that. Like those guys didn't even do indies, right? Like,
No, they were straight OVW, and then they got the call. Hey, you're up. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't have any excitement for any of this AEW stuff coming up. It's not that I'm hating on it. I did wish they had actual storylines, but like, I don't know. There's nothing that gravitates towards me with this. It's just, it's not stale, but it's not exciting, I guess. But that could just be due to the competition
it's
that
definitely not
they're up
exciting.
to. No. So, all right. Well, that's our AEW chatter for now. So that,
Probably the longest we've talked about them in like 5 episodes.
well, because that was the most that they've had occur, right?
Yeah.
Right?
No. Oh yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. So I'm not completely hating on them like you tell people. I don't know. It just,
I mean, you make it pretty clear, but
I don't hate on AEW.
yes, you do. You okay?
I call it a
Start
spot
with-
fest because it's a spot fest. It is a
It's
spot
not
fest.
always. It's not
Okay.
always a spot fest.
Okay,
That's-
sorry. It's a bloody spot fest.
No, that's also not.
Okay, it's a bloody Canadian destroyer off of a ladder onto another ladder. Slight screw up, breaks the kid's ankle. We haven't seen him since, and his mom is in a nursing home.
Okay, that was true once, but he is back, I believe.
Sure, as the
He is
janitor.
back. No, they just fought.
Yeah. So, all right. So on to WWE now.
I hate that you do that.
I do that a lot.
They just fought your buddies, the Young Bucks. top flight.
Stop. Oh, I wanted to bring this up to you now that my ADHD kicked in. Did you see that Uncle Dave put out an episode of his wannabe podcast or newsletter 2 weeks ago that said he can see Alistair Black and Buddy, or what's his name? It's not Buddy Murphy, but you know, yeah. As soon as their contract is up, he definitely sees those two being the next type of Andrade, and it's within the week that they're at WWE.
That makes sense to me.
Can you imagine if the Judgment Day says, "Oh, you don't think we can recruit?" And then it gets all black, and all of a sudden he brings out that skull thing too, because that's his. Like, that's not an AEW thing. That's always been his. He brings that out, and he just puts that on the stage. It would erupt. Right? Like, that would be sick. Because it would get Buddy back with his wife, and it would get Alistair back with his. So it's like, that's all they've been talking about, supposedly. But the problem is, yeah, with Zelina Vega.
Yeah, no, they'd all be back together.
But the problem is, how far does that bury Brody? Or do you just have him being like the bodyguard to Julia then for a while?
Well, you probably do that also.
Yeah.
But,
and then just have them two together? Which is fine, I think.
Either that or, I don't know, like, I could see Hunter finding a spot for Brody. I mean,
bring it on! Bring it on! Yes! Give me a Brody Ultimate Edition? Hell yeah, Dan. Hell yeah.
He's just a less jacked version of Braun Strowman as far as his size goes.
But he's so much better.
No, I know. Wrestling-wise, he's better. But, I mean, like, as far as, like...
It can pull off that character. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, you use him in that big, scary, intimidating character, and he doesn't even have to wrestle that much, right? Like, he could just be the Judgment Day's enforcer, right? Like, if... I don't know what they're doing there, but, like, you just have that guy do all your dirty work, right? He's your white-hot heel, that just takes all the blame for everything.
Yeah, and I don't know if I told you, but I told our other friend that doesn't stop messaging me about wrestling figures. I'm not buying that Brody figure. Did you see how they screwed up his face? So, you know how he wears, like, the bandana plus his beard? It kind of looks like his bandana and the beard is one complete part.
Oh. Yeah.
Right? Like, the tattoos and everything look sweet, but, like, that doesn't look like him.
Well, just keep the skull mask on, then that's fine.
That's alright, I'll just spend it on some 151 cards. Yeah, so could you see that happening? Them two popping back over?
Yeah.
Because I think you can place them anywhere, and the roster gets that much stronger. I mean, we've seen time and time again they can go, right? That's not an issue. Like, you can plug anybody in there with those two, and they can go. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that would be cool. So let's make that happen. Tony, screw up again with their contract so they can come over here, please, to the right side. I'm trying to see. So, WWE-wise, right? Jeez. They still have Brock as inactive and removed from future creative considerations. Gee, I wonder why.
I don't think that. I don't think that's
No, that's just hysterical. That's how it is, though.
that's not ending anytime soon. Like,
We
I
get
think
it,
they're just
Dan. We get it. Your uncle's been busy.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just kidding, Dan. Um, so rumor has it Drew McIntyre has not yet signed.
Yeah.
Do you think that determines what they do with him at the Chamber? Because his contract runs out after Mania. So
No, I don't.
agreed.
Only because unless he's slated to win a belt, I guess that might change something. But um, I think it's I think it's fine because those were that report also talks about had that like things are good between them. He's well respected. It's not an issue. It's just
No,
business.
yeah,
They
it's
just
just
got to take care of
right,
business.
right.
So I'm wondering. So I don't think it changes that. Also because I don't think Hunter is a guy that necessarily cares about having to bury someone on their way out if he isn't re-signing, right? I mean, right? Like in general, like they was it within the last couple of years there was somebody that didn't sign and stopped for a while and then came back. Who the hell was it? They didn't go somewhere else. They just didn't sign and they were kind of gone for a little bit and then they came back. I can't think of who the hell it was. But there was no like issue with that. It was just they didn't get anything done and then they eventually figured it out.
Yeah, it takes time.
Yeah. Right. I wish I could think of who it was, but doesn't matter. I just don't think that's going to happen.
No, and I think he'll sign. I think I saw it pick up a little bit more this weekend, and I couldn't really figure out why on Twitter. But I think the last true article that I read by Sean Russ that basically agreed with everything that you said and said it was just more of everybody just trying to, or everybody just trying to cross the T's on the financial aspect of it. That's what it was. They were just trying to get to a place where both people felt comfortable, which I completely understand. Like, he's just trying to do the best that he can, and Hunter has to do the best for Endeavor now. And I'm sure that Endeavor has a whole team that takes care of this, so Hunter's probably not involved anymore. So, are you getting excited for the Elimination Chamber, friend?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with this.
Besides the crazy start time, right?
Well, yeah, that doesn't excite me all that much, but
Because we have a wrestling show, and then we have a lacrosse game at night.
I'm gonna take a nap the same time as Wyatt does.
Yeah, me too. Wife's gonna be pissed. Um, yeah, so I mean, let's talk about it. We heard about Grayson Waller, everybody's least favorite Australian, doing his talk show thing with Seth and Cody. And your response, I'm sorry, to call it the Grayson Waller effect at Elimination Chamber. And your text message was what exactly? Do you remember what you said?
Gee, I guess who? Guess I wonder who's gonna interrupt this show. Yes, yes. I think I. My guess is. Actually, this is a question for you in general that ties
Yeah.
into this. Assuming that they will be interrupted by members of the bloodline
Yeah.
and probably the top two members of the bloodline. So let me ask you that question first, then I'll ask you the other question.
Sure.
Do you think they get interrupted by The Rock, Roman, or both together? Or neither, or none? Like, is it one or the other? Is it both, or is it neither?
I think it's The Rock, because
Only The Rock?
no, I think Roman comes out second, but I think it's The Rock first because everything we read in the past month or 2 months talked about how basically like the part of the government that plans all this for Australia has been pushing for The Rock. Like that was one of the things. So I think we at least see The Rock. I won't be surprised if Roman comes out second if he doesn't like what The Rock has to say. But then I think Roman turns into Sokola and he stands there with his mouth completely closed the whole time. I don't think he interrupts The Rock again, which is very outrageous to me that that's the thing that he's doing now. I don't know if it's like personally he's turtling up or he's just letting The Rock get everything out. But like, you're supposed to be the greatest champion of all time, and you're gonna do The Rock do 90% of the talking.
So that led to my next question, which you're getting to already with the answers. This new dynamic that they have, whether it was planned or not, but it's definitely the dynamic they're going now.
Yeah.
With The Rock going heel and becoming a part of the bloodline as a unit instead of as an internal fight.
Yeah.
Is this going to force Roman to show up more, to talk more, to do more than he's been doing, which maybe was going to happen anyway leading up to WrestleMania, but it's like to preserve the character, he has to be wherever The Rock is.
Yeah.
In my mind.
No,
Right?
no, you're, or he has to at least do what The Rock did when he came back a few times. At least show up on the jumbotron to be able to like spout off. He can't be completely absent. There has to be some form of Roman is now involved because you can't let The Rock overshadow. We have the greatest champion of all time with the belt.
Right.
Like it's so, which builds off another question I was thinking about while listening to Busted Open today, since you talked me into a serious package. Um,
You're welcome.
um,
Don't you love listening to Bully Ray though?
yeah, it's good. Like
The day,
yeah, they're always
the
good.
days the
They're,
days that Bully's not there, I like a little less. I really like Bully's contribution to the
yeah,
show.
but it's not bad either way
No,
though.
no.
It's not like Meltzer's podcast where all you hear is something getting stuffed down his throat and we don't know what type of podcast it is. But yeah, I know that's what I thought too. It's like, well, get that off the internet. Um,
Crazy.
oh yeah, 100%. Patricia had me tested. Um, do you believe? So it's been a big topic for a couple of days now. Do you believe they still don't have a plan for WrestleMania, or do you think this is all
Well,
part of the plan?
I I don't know. There's a few things to talk about with that I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you
All
too
right.
because
Well,
like
that's on it. So let's
I
go.
I mean so I feel like they probably have most of a plan, but it's fluid. Um,
What
but yeah, some of
percentage?
the I don't even know, like 60-40 maybe.
See,
Like
because that concerns me then. Like if it's that type of percentage,
it
that
it
concerns
doesn't
me.
it doesn't concern me. I think they're trying to decide, and so Triple H has said this before, and this was because he got a lot of heat for the Austin Owens thing, right? It's not always about it having to be about a title in
Right.
particular.
Agreed.
It's what makes sense from a storyline to be the most. So, right,
Agreed.
one of the reports, right, which I don't think was from Sean. So, we tend to really like only really believe what Sean says. Um,
Shout out Sean.
Shout out Sean Ross Sapp, SRS.
SRS.
I There was like a rumor going around that night one is a tag match with Rock, Roman, Cody, Seth. And night two then is Roman, Cody, which is interesting. But a couple of things that the dominoes fall on, and I know we talked about this last week that there's a semi easy solution, but A, what are you doing to your women's matches here?
Right.
How much are you devaluing your women's matches?
Correct.
Although I do have an answer to that, but um, also like, is Seth not doing a one-on-one match for his title? Like, what are we doing here? Like, which are you devaluing that title a little bit? Again, yeah, you roll your eyes all you want, but like,
No,
they're
this is the first point I give to you.
they're
This is
still doing that with
no
that
right.
title.
So that's why I'm concerned, right? And to just piggyback off of something real quick, I think the women's match that we're gonna see Saturday or the next Saturday between Rhea and Naya, I think that's gonna blow away any type of match that you can see at Mania. So I'm wondering if they're not gonna feel bad about it if this one is such a banger, but they still should feel a little bit like we kind of screwed that division. Seth's title concerns, I completely agree. I think they're panicking based on the health of his leg. And to just piggyback off of your first statement, so as I told you, I didn't really get to watch like the press conference from start to finish, right? So I went back and watched it all the next day, and as soon as it clicked to where Big E made that statement, and then that face that he made to the camera, all I thought about was crap. I was just like, crap. Here we go. It's like I almost got a pit in the stomach because that's how bad I was like worrying about it. Because you saw him like say, "Oh man, we might have a tag match," and then he turns and he looks at the camera and he just like shows his eyebrows, and I'm like, "Oh no, no, no." So I'm all in on Dan. It is 9:39, day after Valentine's Day, in the year 2024 of our Lord Cody Rhodes. I agree with you, Dan. I agree with every concern of yours right now. So please proceed. I have no arguments.
So, I mean, I don't necessarily have as I'm not worried about it, like, because they'll figure it out. There's still a lot of stuff to be booked for WrestleMania. There's still a lot of time.
Yeah, what do they got?
We're just under 2 months away, right? Like, we're 7 weeks away still. A lot of time to set up some stuff, right?
Yeah, it's April
So
6th and 7th.
right. So 7 weeks to go. 7 weeks Saturday.
Yep.
I'm my thing my so as far as the women matches going and potentially devaluing them, the more I think about that, the more I think about what Triple H said about its storyline that gets the main event, right? That's why they had a tag match as a main event of WrestleMania, right? This is storyline, not not just um what do I want to say? How do I want to say this?
7 weeks plus a day left, if you're wondering. Pulled
Yeah.
out the Excel.
Um, such a tech guy used Excel to do that.
Well, I have a
Um,
date. I have a date thing for that I built for work. Dan, calm down. Um, no, I get
so
it. Yeah,
it's story, and to be honest, the stories going into the women's championship matches aren't great,
no, they're not the best.
right? And they're not bad, but they're not Roman Cody. They're not this potential tag. Um, so I just don't know that like it's a big deal that the women's matches aren't going to be there isn't going to be a main event women's matches this year. Like I just don't think the story is necessarily warranting
Yeah,
it.
but we didn't get one
First of
last year,
all,
right?
no, but
It was a co,
last
right?
year last year you got I mean we
Charlotte,
talked about
right?
that. You can do the co thing and that's fine. But they're going to be second to last. They're not going to be last.
We right.
And then you could do um You could do them first. We've talked about that too, right? Like if you're not last, you want to be first. Um, but we might not have gotten one last year, but I think wasn't last year we got Cody Roman in the first night was I don't even remember now. Night one. We got the tag match night one. Sammy and Owens versus Jay and Jimmy Usos. So we
Yeah,
got the
yeah.
tag match night one, which with no disrespect to the women, that was the first time a tag match had done a main event of a WrestleMania night. So
Well, and
that
that's
was a big deal,
well, and
right?
that's once in a decade type tag match
Yes,
with that
and that
storyline. That's
that was potentially even more compelling than Rhodey and Cody
Cody
and
and
Roman.
yeah, agreed with that statement. Agreed.
So, and then 2022, we got Brock, Roman, and Owens Austin, which they kept saying wasn't a match, but and then technically you got Austin McMahon or McAfee McMahon. What did we get on that WrestleMania?
It was McMahon and Austin, or sorry, it was
It
McAfee and
was
Austin cracking open beers, right?
it was. I know McMahon took a stunner. Actually, I just saw a tweet the other
Yeah,
day that said this will be the first WrestleMania without Vince McMahon in any capacity, and the last thing he ever did in a WrestleMania ring or in a ring was take the worst stunner ever. Because that stunner was horrible.
yep.
Um, I can't remember how that worked.
If,
We got
uh,
we got Owens. I guess that was a different night because Owens Austin was night one, and I think we got McMahon McAfee night two, and then Austin came out and stunned McMahon, and then McAfee and all that. But so Austin was there both nights, but that was Austin coming back in Dallas, right? Like so.
that was in
No,
22.
yeah, yeah. So I'm going back because
Yep.
you said the thing about did we have
Yeah, yeah, right.
um
The
women.
female end of it.
So women, I'm
So,
looking now for the one before that, and it was
yeah.
Bianca and Sasha headlined night one in 2021.
Well, so just to go off your point, it was Rhea and Charlotte as the sixth match on night one, and Bianca and Asuka the fourth match. So they were middle of the card,
Mid card.
basically.
Mid card, which everybody
Yep.
talks about kind of being. Remember, like Chris Jericho was super pissed that him and whoever had like the third match. They were like,
Yeah.
"That's like no man's land match." Um, so the women last main evented in 2021, but in 2022 you had Austin's return and Brock Roman, which was huge. In 2023 you had the greatest potential storyline of a tag team, right? And then and Roman Cody, which was like the amazing return of Cody, and then the injury and all that crap, right? So like again, no disrespect to the women, but their stories weren't as compelling, so you don't get that spot. Um, And so you have a little bit of a story with Bailey and Damage Control, right? It's fine, but it's not main event story. And right now, you don't even have a story for Rhea. It's just whoever wins the chamber, and whoever it is, that's just the story. There's nothing super compelling, right? Like,
No. Do you think we see Jordan Grace again?
no, no.
Would you mind if we
Well,
do?
is her contract up? I don't think you see her again.
Well, the way that Hunter talked about it is he said, like, we're open to this type of stuff or these type of things right now if it makes sense for the company. So if you really don't have a champion that's ready to go for Rhea right now, and just to piggyback off that, and if the one that you signed, rumor has it that Jade Cargill has been pulled from the chamber. That's only a rumor. Sean Rossap has not reported it, I don't believe yet, if at all.
We don't
So
have our double verification yet.
yeah, we don't. Yeah. We don't have our Lexus Dexus on this. So wouldn't it make sense then if you're trying to buy Jade some time and Jordan's up for it and TNA's up for it to be like, hey, Jordan, ever wanted to be in the chamber match? And then like have it play out that somebody gets hurt, that person has to be taken to the back, and then all of a sudden the wrecking ball thing just hits the screen, and then here she comes out with the TNA title. I mean, I don't see anybody else you put in there right now with her that actually tells a story. I don't really like the whole matchup of Naya and Rhea, because if Rhea beats Naya, then it's like, what is the point of bringing Naya back? She's supposed to be like the unbeatable force. Like she just came back and beat Becky straight up. And Becky's been like the revolutionary for the last however many years. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like it just seems like, yeah, I get it. It kind of, I don't know, it kind of sucks because it feels like, I think this is more of a talent issue than like a storyline issue, is that they just have so much talent on both sides for men and women that it sometimes makes it impossible to like build the right story to get prepared for a big pay-per-view because they have so many options, like we keep saying. So yeah, it's interesting, but I get the point and I agree. I'm not too upset with the women's division not being the main event unless they have some switch up that they can tell in the next 7 weeks or so. So be it. But I just don't know what they could do, I guess. So it's possible, but it would have to be really compelling if you're gonna beat out that tag match and Cody finishing the story. Like,
Right.
that's crazy.
No. Yeah. So I mean, the only concern I have is why they're not doing a singles match for Seth's belt. I'm not as concerned about the women's matches. I think it's fine. It's not, you know, WWE has shown a willingness to put the women on last when the
Yep.
story dictates it. So
Yep.
that's just the way it works, right? Like, and the tag match is more compelling if that's the way they end up going. The Rock's return, the first time he's going to have like a true match, not a 3 second defeat. I can't think of what his name was in the Wyatt family. The red beard guy, Rowan, Eric Rowan.
Yep.
Technically that was a match. Remember, he had his gear on, he rock
Yep.
bottomed him and pinned him. It was like a 6 second match, but like a real match. I mean, it's got to be. You have to think if they go the route of the tag match night one, this is because they really were set on having Rock wrestle this WrestleMania,
Yes.
and they're gonna do it come hell or high water, and that's fine. And now they have a year to figure out the demise of the bloodline with Rock and Roman, and that's fine.
Yeah, I just don't know if. I think the buildup of a year between Cena and Rock worked because we saw them. I think if the plan, and we've been reading time and time again, like the plan is for Roman to step away for a bit after Mania. I think he has to be around if you're going to build that for a year. He's gonna have to be around to take those shots at The Rock. He's gonna have to be around to give those promos. He won't have to be in action, but he can come out and say, "Oh, so this guy feels like he could take over the show that I built." And then all of a sudden, you just hear The Rock hit, and he's walking out, putting his arm up, and he's challenging everything he says. Do you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
like.
no, I think that's what might happen. I mean,
So, do you think they'll kind of force him back for a year, and then allow him just to kind of disappear?
yeah, because we've been hearing for years he was leaving for Hollywood, and it hasn't happened. I just don't think it's happening yet.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're going different directions. They just signed a $5 billion deal, right? Like, because his potential ascension to Hollywood was was WWE was involved in doing that and helping that. Well, now their priority has probably changed. My guess is their priority has changed. I don't think it's the same as Cena and The Rock left WWE and went on to Hollywood careers, right? Like, or I mean, it's not the same as that. They went out, they had characters, larger than life characters, and they turned that into Hollywood, right? Roman, I don't know this for sure, but looking back at, I just googled it quick. Um, it seemed like his potential dip into Hollywood had the WWE machine behind it. This article I'm reading from a couple years ago, WWE has big plans for Roman Reigns in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going out there on his own and getting this.
No, I think
They're
it's Netflix is going to be the big plan, right? Like I think
right.
they're going
So
to get back
I
to
think their
directing.
priorities have changed, and what I'm sure is also going to happen behind the scenes is big big contracts for the company for TV rights leads to bigger contracts for the wrestlers to
Yes.
make sure the TV's doing well.
Yes.
So I don't know that it's ever been Roman doesn't want to wrestle anymore. He wants to go to Hollywood. I think it's that was WWE's plan, and now the plan's changed. And I don't. I'm not really sure what I believe anymore about the Rock's movie schedule, but I feel like the Rock's back for a while too. And I don't necessarily think that the night after WrestleMania, him and Roman are going after each other. I think it'll be a slow burn for a little bit. Um, Maybe they do some chasing with Cody for a while, a little bit more, and not take him over, but right, like maybe they maybe they reband as much as they can as the bloodline. They go a different direction of trying to regain their status, and then it's not working, and the two of them butt heads, and then that leads to what it's going to lead to. They have a year to figure that out because that report about the tag match also was reporting that Rock Roman is going to be 41, WrestleMania 41. So if that's true, but again, plans could change again, right? Like they certainly uh, they certainly have shown they're cool with changing plans. So I don't know. It'll be interesting either way. That's the good news.
Yeah. Is there anything that can happen that you said that was a terrible ending? With any of
Cody loses again.
you think so?
This time around, I think so. Yes, I think I I I didn't have a problem with it last year. I would have a major issue with it this year. Like it's especially after what's been going on the last month or so, right? Like this is just there should be no more hurdles, right? You do another hurdle and you're just going to lose people because the culmination usually is WrestleMania, and it's if it's not WrestleMania, it's because it was early in the story at WrestleMania, right? Like, and so like when you think about like Daniel Bryan's, like, the Mania over Daniel Bryan, or Kofi Mania and all that stuff, right? Like, that all eventually culminated at a WrestleMania. Other big moments for people that culminated somewhere else were likely culminating at SummerSlam, right? But they didn't spend 2 years, lose at WrestleMania, and then they have their big moment at SummerSlam, right? Like, so that I think would be a major problem this time around if they did it again, because fans might finally go like, "Oh, forget it,"
Right.
right? It's like it's so exhausting, and that's what makes the win that much sweeter. But I mean, they had them last year, right? Like, those fans were ready to explode, and then that happened. It was like breaking the Undertaker streak. It was just crazy that it didn't happen. And now we've gone another year, another Royal Rumble, another bunch of hurdles. Like, that's fine. And honestly, like, you give him his moment, and then, like you said, instead of doing it prior to WrestleMania, which you floated before, how about the Monday night after WrestleMania? He comes out as the champ, he does his promo, and then out of nowhere he gets an RKO from Randy, right? Like, great, great, here we go. Randy's chasing him now. But if you do that at WrestleMania and then he loses to Roman, oh, forget it.
Right.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Like, it's really tough. Side note, there's a little bit of breaking news during that. McIntyre deal has been extended as confirmed by Sean Ross Sapp at Fightful, because of injury and inactivity time, and WWE and McIntyre are continuously working to get a new contract drawn up soon. They confirmed it by the date that he has been booked for Italy in May, is it? Yeah, I believe so. He's been booked for the Italy events. But here's the thing that concerns me. So this chamber match is to fight Seth one-on-one at WrestleMania, as it says in this article from Fightful. Winning, but moving on to challenge Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 40. So do you think this tag idea is just something they threw out there as a swerve?
Possible. It's definitely possible. Actually, thank you for saying that, because that was another question I wanted to ask you in general was, do you think that WWE is sending out swerves or sending out stuff to keep people off that because they want to preserve a few things, and the way to do that is to throw different directions at people, have some conversations, purposely, that they know will get out, and be happy that people took their attention off something else.
Yes, and I will tell you that is 75% likely happening, due to one name and one name only being back in WWE. And do you know who that is? Brian Jarwitz. Because he confirmed time and time again how that was one of the biggest things that he pushed for. And with this involving The Rock and the whole $7 production, hashtag trending, hashtag candy asses, hashtag fruity pebbles. That's one of Brian's favorite things to do, right? Because he loves to go at the wrestling fans that think they know everything. And this is a perfect opportunity, right? This is the biggest event, and they're still saying a tag match, even though they know the Elimination Chamber is for Seth's title.
Right.
Like, It's right in front of them, but they still just they are loving to complain about the tag match. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they like
Yeah.
finally we have this to complain about. We don't want The Rock, Cody Crybabies versus The Rock's people. Like, yeah, I definitely believe it. I've been waiting to pick your brain at it because I didn't know what you were going to say when I said if there would be a bad ending to this. Um, because
I think that's the
I
only
thought there would
bad ending.
be a time where you might say the bad ending could be the tag match if it actually occurred. Uh,
No. Well, because it would be night one, so it doesn't really matter to me, right? Like, I'd be fine if they do it. I don't, you know, well, it'd be cool to see The Rock again, so, like, that's good.
yeah.
Um,
How
you know,
long do
so, like,
you think it goes
tag match?
if it occurs? Yeah.
I mean, it's got to go a decent amount. You're talking four powerhouses of competitors there, so you can't get that one done in 20 minutes.
No. Like you're gonna get a Cody Stunner, a Crossroad. You know you're gonna get the Stomp or the Pedigree by Seth. You know you're gonna get a couple of spears. And I would not be
You're gonna get
surprised.
a rock bottom.
I think everybody gets a rock bottom in that tag match. I think even his partner does. Because he just loves to give that out, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's crazy, right? Because 7 weeks away is really not a long time, but at the same time, like the
It's a
end.
lifetime in wrestling.
That's the perfect way to say it, and I think it's the anticipation of it, right? The biggest show of the year, the one pay per view that we knew we could talk our parents into ordering every year growing up. Like this was the end all be all. Like this was the big one.
Yep.
So I think that's part of it too. Is like, and I think we stressed this on the last podcast as well that people just need to kind of let this like play out and just see where they're going with this because it very likely is a swerve with this whole tag thing, or we might see a tag the Monday after Mania,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. I mean, you're
right?
right. It could be a swerve, right? Like you could potentially see. Well, one thing we know for sure that likely happens is that um, the bloodline gets involved somehow, right? Like they always do, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Solo gets involved somehow, but Jimmy maybe gets involved, and then what role does Jay play? Like, do they is a swerve that Jay does something and goes back with the bloodline? You know, like because Cody right now is pretty trusting of Jay in general, right? Like, um, or do they play up some kind of angle from night one where the bloodline beats the crap out of Cody after the match, Cody and Seth, and they leave him, and then it's all can Cody overcome this for his match tomorrow night, and then you lead into the second night, and you have to wonder what's the ending to that match. Assuming Cody's going over, what are they doing at the end? Because they're doing something that reminisces to last year's WrestleMania, and how does Cody overcome it this time? Is it something like Jay Jay coming out? Is it something like The Rock saying, "No, that's not how this works"? Like that, if that's the tribal chief, he doesn't need your help to win. Right? Like, and is that the start of a turn back to babyface for The Rock? Or do they just have him go over clean, which I would be surprised. But there could be a swerve within a swerve there, and then yeah, you're right. Like, what happens? That'll be fun to see. Last year's Raw after WrestleMania wasn't that great.
Mm-mm.
So,
It was
what's this
terrible.
year's going to be like?
It has to be better, right?
I would think so. I
Well,
mean,
you just think for the fact that Hunter is now basically creative. He has his team. He has the Rock's team. The Rock's now on the board. You have Endeavor that knows how to pull out all of the stops for fans when they come for fight week in Vegas. So, like, there's no possible way they should screw this up, is what I'm basically breaking it down to. Like, they should be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's just. Yeah, it kind of makes me more worried, or I don't know if it's just the anticipation of it all, like waiting to see how it all plays out. I think that's what it is, because I can't wait, but like, it's gonna be something, man. It's so then. One final question for you on this, though. I guess what do you do then at Mania if Seth is involved truly in a tag match with the title for Seth? Like, what do you?
Nothing.
Does he drop it? Because then it.
No, he's in a
No,
tag
no.
match.
Like, does Hunter just strip him of it? Because this whole chamber thing is for that title.
Is that official that they announced it's for that title?
I believe they
I
did.
don't. I don't know that they've done that yet.
It was on Fightful when they were talking about Drew's contract.
Okay, yeah, it does say. Okay, yeah. Elimination here for a World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania 40. Okay, so it is. Then you
As
do this. So you're doing the same thing. Then Seth is fighting both nights if you're doing that.
then he has to be 100% healed.
Um, they must feel confident. Yeah.
He has to be 100% healed if that's the case. Then, like, I don't know, man. Yeah, that's why I think it's a swerve with the tag match because of that right there. Like, just doesn't make any sense to me. So, should be interesting.
The tag match doesn't make a lot of sense to me either, especially now, especially if Seth has to defend his title too. Like the Cody thing, I think it's fine because like it's just like it's just another hurdle slash test, whatever, and it's personal, right? Now they've made it real personal between the four of them. But if Seth's fighting the second night too, eh, yeah, I guess I don't know.
It's a lot, right?
I mean, it's a lot, but
It's a lot.
it's what people want to see, most likely.
Or Seth wrestles night one and then night two he's the bodyguard from Cody when Cody goes after Roman. And Rock's possibly
He
the
is
last
he is going to
hurdle.
be his shield. Don't look at me. That was the promo.
Yeah, but you don't have the coat on when he says it. It's all about the coat. Or
All right.
if you're bully right, you can sit there and be upset with Seth Rollins on that point, which is a whole other thing I don't get. Um, and then Cody Rock night one is the possible last hurdle to get over.
No, no. I think it's either a tag match or it's. I don't see it being Cody Rock. I think that I think that outshadows Cody Roman,
Yes, big
oddly
time.
enough. So I don't think it's Cody Rock. I think it's a tag match, or I think it's a tag match because unless they find, well, we haven't talked about this. Um, we did wonder if Hunter is cleared for one more match
Yes, because a
because
lot of the back and forth. Yes.
he is going, they are going hard at each other semi subtly, right? So it's like Hunter's promo at the beginning of Raw or whatever, um, he went hard about like there's only one guy in charge here. I don't care what table you're sitting at. I don't care what board you're like a member of. Like, and I thought to myself like, this is like character hunter, not like
Yes.
press conference hunter,
No, this is
right?
like
Like
corporate authority type
authority
hunter.
hunter. So like, I did wonder if like, and maybe that's why they put the tag match out there as a rumor. Maybe they want to deflect from the possibility of Triple H Rock. Maybe there's a few hurdles to clear there for
Or
him. Maybe, you know,
or what if Hunter's the tag partner?
with The Rock,
No, with
Hunter Rock. Oh, with Cody.
Cody Hunter. Because say that Seth has to defend his title earlier, then he can't go
That'd be interesting.
Cody Hunter versus Roman. Because you get the best of both worlds, right?
Maybe that's where the rumor's wrong. This would be a very typical like Meltzer thing, right?
Yeah.
Where he's reporting a tag match, but he's got the wrong participants.
And the wrong year, and the wrong venue, and the wrong promotion.
No,
yeah.
no, I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, give him credit. He had the Vince McMahon match before anybody did. All he had wrong was the opponent and the time.
Okay. So, anyways, yeah. I mean,
It's true.
all
It's
right,
true.
all right. Okay, easy. You're getting a little bit too hyped up at this time for your blood pressure. Um, yeah, I mean, what if that's it, right? Or
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fine too. I think I'd prefer Rock Hunter, but that'd be interesting too.
well, I'm wondering if the only way that Hunter could get cleared if he's like, listen, I'm just gonna be standing in the corner, like I'm not, like it's not gonna be full 20.
I don't think he does that though.
No, I know, but I'm just.
Against the woman.
Well, we saw what happened in Saudi Arabia with DX versus the Brothers from Hell. So
Yeah, but that was prior to his heart issue. I'm saying
okay,
that, like
they could fix that. He went to Epstein's Island. They could fix that.
what's wrong with you?
What? You know those people fix everything, Dan. Um, yeah, I mean, what if that's it? Like, what if we just cracked the code? What if the Botch Wrestling Podcast, episode 20, just cracked the code? We should get 2 free tickets to WrestleMania. That's what I feel like. What do you say, Dan? 2 free tickets for cracking the code?
I was thinking about that.
We'll pay for our own travel. We'll pay for
the couple of tanks of gas we're gonna need to
Yeah,
get there.
yeah. Hey, I got an eco now, so it's probably like maybe 2 tanks, if that. But yeah, it should be interesting, right? Like because that's the whole other aspect that we kind of got off on a tangent on that we forgot to bring up was the whole Hunter thing. But man, what if this is the year that we finally get Hunter? Okay, here we go. Let's take a bet on it. What do you have Saturday? Because now I'm just getting too anxious for all of this. What do you have for your Saturday night? What do you think the main event is right now? And
All right, so
we can change it one time prior to WrestleMania.
If I had to bet, I'm gonna go with Rock Triple H, but I want an asterisk on that because if Triple H like legitimately is not medically cleared, I just thought of this. What if he gets a proxy?
And it's Sean?
It's John Cena.
That would be wild.
John wants to have one more match. Well, not one more match, but John has talked about wanting to wind his career down the right way. Why not with a freaking match with The Rock?
Well, because he said he wanted the story to make sense for it. And he said 4 years.
You mean Rock said the story had to make sense, or Cena said that? Rock
Cena.
said it too.
No,
Rock
Cena said he had about 2 to 4 years left.
But you telling me, if as long as he's available, You tell me he turned down WrestleMania Spotlight with The Rock again?
No.
That would be a huge match. What if Triple H, like, what if this storyline with Triple H is Rock and Triple H on a collision course? Triple H can't wrestle because of the pacemaker and all this other stuff, but he can say to Rock, I'll find somebody. And it's Cena. That's my asterisk. That's probably like 1% chance, but hey, we bet the long shots here.
Yeah, that's why you're not
We don't,
successful. But
we don't bet a lot of money. I don't bet probably more than $10 at a time on any one bet, but I do it on 1,000 to 1 payout.
I got it. I got it. All right, and then what's your event on Sunday?
It's Cody Roman.
Right.
If it's not Cody Roman, then I don't
They
know
screwed
what the
up.
hell they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It has to be Cody Roman.
Right.
Like, they can't do Cody Roman night one.
Mm.
You have to end your weekend
with the big
Cody Rhodes holding that belt in the corner with -1 sitting there with Brandy still bringing -1 back, right? Like, I don't know if they'll be able to do it because all the heat now, but I mean, if they could find a way to allow Dustin Rhodes to be there, even just as show him on TV as a,
yeah, they could do that. Well, they showed
they got to get permission from AEW,
but they showed Buddy at the Hall of Fame, right?
Hall of Fame, I think, is a little different.
Oh, because it's not a pay-per-view event or whatever.
I don't think it's a wrestling event, and they only kind of they didn't make a thing about him.
No, they just showed him with Rhea, right? Every time.
He was there sitting next to her, but have him there with his mom, with Brandy, and actually acknowledge who the hell he is.
Okay.
They didn't acknowledge. They acknowledged -1, but not as -1. Obviously, they mound him as the son of the late Luke Harper, right? Or no, maybe they said John Huber. They might have said John Huber, but
yeah.
So it would be great if they had Dustin somehow involved, but that has to be Sunday night. I don't think you can get away with that being Saturday night.
So I agree with Cody versus Roman. I think you have to do that on Sunday night because that's the first thing you hit on the follow-up Raw, just to start that Raw with a bang. Just hypothetically, to build off of your proxy for Rock versus Triple H. Do you hear it? Do you hear it? Hang on. I was thinking, what about this for a proxy? Let me see if I can play this. Let me see. I don't know. Do you hear it now? That should be playing through. That's stupid. I just had the Goldberg theme song playing.
Goldberg Rock?
No. Yeah, I know, right? That's a bad way for it to end.
That's terrible. That's terrible. I'd rather see Shawn Michaels than Goldberg, and I really don't want to see Shawn Michaels.
What if... No, I'm thinking about this. What if the main event for Saturday night is Seth and his title? Some antics go on to where Seth needs backup for it. That's how Cody responds that he's in Seth's corner, and Seth returns the favor on Sunday night to be in his corner to go after Roman. For Cody to go after Roman. Apologies.
Yeah.
And I think all we could get from Rock Saturday, maybe he shows up on something like the Grayson Waller effect or some type of promo or something. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with that long shot.
I have another like fun
Seth
booking,
versus.
fantasy booking, not something I would bet on, but that I think would be fun fantasy booking.
Who do you think Seth defends his title against?
Well, we don't know yet who else is in the chamber, right? We only have 3 or 4 of them so far.
Yeah.
So we have McIntyre, Orton, Lashley, and LA Knight so far. So we have 2 more to go. I mean, they're making it seem like it's going to be McIntyre. I could see it being Orton. I would prefer Orton, pending who the next 2 are. Yeah, I would prefer Orton, but they're sort of currently queuing it up for McIntyre, seemingly at
Yeah,
least.
and then I think if McIntyre does take it, he just continues to take shots at Punk the whole entire time.
Yeah, I don't think they're getting rid of that.
No.
Plus, Punk already said when he comes back, he's coming straight for McIntyre. So
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
yeah, um, yeah. So I think that I just had another really fun fantasy booking thing.
Yeah.
What if Cody? What if for The Rock, Cody's the one who picks somebody for Rock night one, the Deathmatch King, one of his best friends. That place would explode,
Yeah.
honestly, if that
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, 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 yeah.
He has done an impressive job of
He's
raising his character. Obviously, it would have to be Matt Cardona, not Zack Ryder,
yeah,
but
because Zack Ryder died.
right. So, but that would be like a Hardy Boys pop return at WrestleMania if Cody was like, I gotta prepare for my match tomorrow, but I got friends. And people might think it's Seth, right? And people might think it's whoever, and then boom. I would not put money on that, but it would be fun. It would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that
He's
would be
probably
great.
already he's probably already booked that weekend, knowing him.
Oh, yeah, he's probably booked that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and he flies home Sunday. Just so he can spend everything he just made. But, yeah, I think we eventually see Cardona back.
Yeah, I do too.
I
And
don't
he's
think.
kind of almost said it,
Yeah.
that like it's just a matter of time, like, but he's really enjoying what he's doing. And he's making more money than he's ever made. So,
Yeah, it's,
which is wild, but
well, because, he's not giving it to somebody that has to pay some ransom bribes. So, it's a big thing. Um, yeah, I think, I don't know, I'm still thinking that the Seth thing will be the main event Saturday. Cody helps out. Something crazy pops off. Cody helps out to the point of just to protect outside the ring. I don't think he does anything that forces Seth to directly win. And I think Seth returns to. And that's Cody's way of telling Seth, yes, I need your help by the side. Because when Seth walked out of the ring, he just told Cody, think about it, and he dropped it, and then he walked away. And then I think we get Cody Roman Sunday, and then I think the dismantling of the bloodline is The Rock coming out on Monday and starting to say how disappointed he is. That's what I'm going with. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. All right, what are we betting? Besides Pride.
Oh, you really want to make this like an interesting bet?
Sure.
I mean, you tell me. The 151 Ultimate box?
Oh! Wowzers.
It's a big bet. That's a big bet. That's $100 bet,
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah. Okay.
And what do we get? We get one chance to change it, but is there a cutoff date for when we change it? Like, because,
Yeah, yeah,
you
that's a good
change
point.
it
The day before.
Saturday
Yeah.
morning, right? Like, like maybe
What do you
we
think
can
is fair?
change it a month. Well, see, the problem is, all right. So how about this? A month from now, or a month out. So that's only 3 more weeks.
Yep.
But that's a lot of storytelling.
Yep.
Unless
Something
they
drastic
announce what it
happened.
is.
Okay.
Well, unless they announce what it is. Like if tomorrow night they show up, or not tomorrow night. Well, yeah, tomorrow night. Let's say if tomorrow night on SmackDown they say
Yeah, because they're both there.
Now booked is this, then either we both lose or one of us wins, because what are we gonna do? It's either a month away from now or whatever, a month before the show, or until they announce what it is, like actually announce, not just hint.
No, that's fine. That's fair.
Okay.
That is fair.
Now we know where to
Out
go
from
get the
now.
box.
We do. We have a lot of connections, unfortunately. 3 weeks out from now, or announced. Yeah, that's fair. I'll go with that.
Because you know damn well we're buying that box at some point. One way
Yeah,
or
I
another,
mean,
so.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I could just tell my wife it is part of the bet for the podcast. I mean, that's a tax write-off. So
Yeah.
it's a tax write-off, babe. I don't know.
If we hit a holy grail, we'll split the profits.
No. You don't have to. That person won.
I said we, buddy.
No, that person won. It's theirs. That's the whole point of the bet. But just to touch on one other thing before we forget, Braun and Baron, the new NXT Tag Team Champs, pretty cool. Baron seemed pretty excited to have WWE Gold back in his hand. I'm glad for the both of them. A little confused because why did we have Braun up on Raw and talking about SmackDown then? Like,
I know. I said that. I didn't think he was done yet in NXT.
No.
He had more to do there.
So, or unless they're gonna do what they do with the female titles and have them show up on the main roster, but then I think that kind of diminishes those titles once they go back to NXT.
Well, and I think part of that too was that by that time they had gotten rid of the women's tag team championships, right? For a little while at least.
Maybe.
Because that was after the Sasha and Naomi walkout,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, but congrats to them. Real quick, Braun Steiner or Braun Breaker? What do you prefer?
Oh, I prefer Braun Breaker, but that might just be out of because it's what he's been.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows he's a Steiner, so I don't know that you have to.
Well, I think everybody in our age demographic knows he's a Steiner.
Well, and understands what that means, I guess. Yes, all that. But my bigger point being is that, it's not the same like when The Rock came up and he was Rocky Maivia, because they wanted to point to his grandfather,
right?
And then it's not the same now, where the second and third generation wrestlers or whatever have to be named after their parent, right? Like that kind of I guess to a degree that kind of ended with Cody and Randy almost. I'm trying to think of other people that came up
Like under their father's.
under, yeah, the shadow of their father and their name and stuff like that, right? Like, so Cody, Randy, and DiBiase, right? Like, who's not in it now, but
Yeah, they had that small faction for a while. The
yeah, yeah,
legend.
Legacy,
Yeah, Legacy.
Legacy. So, but after that, like,
Yeah, there hasn't been anybody. I mean, even for
I mean, I guess there haven't been a ton of examples either.
no, but even for Brian Pillman Jr., they completely changed that.
Yeah, right, right. They changed that. That's another example.
Yeah, I mean,
There really isn't
it
a
doesn't
lot of
bug
people.
me. It doesn't bug me either way. That was just something that was being discussed a lot on Twitter, as I think it was because it was the topic on Busted Open before when it occurred. Just wanted to get your thoughts. I don't think it bugs me. I think the problem is
They didn't do it with. Well, they sort of did it with what's his face, Curtis Axel, right? Because the
yeah,
Mr. Perfect son, because Curtis, right, for Kurt, and
yep,
then Axel because of his grandfather or his uncle or something, right?
yep,
But like
yeah, yep.
they didn't do it right, like so they didn't do anything with Bray Wyatt to really play on his lineage, right, with IRS and Rotunda name. Um,
No, I agree. Um,
um, what's the Snuka's it's her daughter, right? Tamina, is that her name? Tamina.
yes,
They just called her Tamina. They didn't get into it.
yes,
I think Cody and Randy might be some of the last examples of them doing that.
agreed, agreed. So, yeah,
Until the Benoit kid comes in
hey,
and
yay. Hopefully, he's not carrying the Bible. Um,
yikes.
well, all right. So, on that note, before we get thrown off, Dan, is there anything you want to discuss tonight before I go and make this available for children?
No, no, I think we touched on everything.
You sure? Are you sure, Dan?
Am I missing something?
I'm just asking you, bro. That's all. Just trying to be a good business partner.
No, I think.
God, you yell at me more than my wife does.
Well, that makes sense.
Oh, that's kind of rude. Um, yeah. So that's episode 20, the big 2-0. It's kind of wild that we stuck through this for 20. We're also going to be hopping on the video game podcast that we do switch it up pretty soon, as well as I was right again in regards to what's going on with Xbox. Everybody was scared, but that's a different argument for a different day. So you could just know that I'm always right, no matter the time, day, or place. I'm always right. Um, hey,
Okay.
I got a lot of friends that tell me that, Dan. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, so that's episode 20, Botch Wrestling Podcast. Um, Thoughts and prayers out to Jeff Hardy. As I just read during this, it was only a broken nose, no concussion. I
You got lucky.
Yes. So hopefully the broken nose and doctor doesn't prescribe pain pills and all that other fun stuff he likes to participate in. Um, please just retire. That's all I gotta say. Like, just retire. So,
He can't.
he will. He's gonna have to, or it's gonna kill him literally in the ring.
The pain is his drug these days.
It's true. Good for him. I guess. I don't know. Anyways, that's episode 20, Botch Wrestling Podcast. We'll be back in a week. Hey, Dan.
So yeah.
That's what happens. Adios, everybody.